Peace community, what's up? Welcome to A Loving Lens, where we look at the world through a loving, Black affirming lens, bringing insight into the social political landscape that shapes our communities. In this episode, we are going to introduce a new concept I've been working on, something that I've been calling controlling narratives. And to do this, I want to be in a conversation with Patricia Hill Collins' groundbreaking idea of controlling images. I was fortunate to be introduced to Patricia Hill Collins' seminal work, Black Feminist Thought, while I was a student at Spelman College around my sophomore year. And in this work, she introduces the term controlling images. These are the pervasive and harmful stereotypes, also known as archetypes, used to justify Black women's oppression. Images and symbols like the mammy, the Jezebel, and the welfare queen. And we see that throughout the decades, there are emphasis on some more than others. Explains how these controlling images not only dehumanize us, but also control how society perceives Black women, and in turn, how we might perceive ourselves. These stereotypes, rooted in white supremacy, y'all, and patriarchy, y'all, and just to quickly clarify that white supremacy hinges on this notion of a racial caste system that puts white people at the top, that says white people are superior to all other human beings, especially Black folk, and that Black folk are the most inferior to all other human beings, and that influences our perception about what kind of characters or traits we attribute to different groups of people and different races. And we are taught every day that whiteness is more valuable, more worth loving than Black people. So I do want to take this time to challenge you in this false equivalence. We may think that defending white folk is somehow being noble, but defending the people who benefit from the systems that cause harm, or the people who perpetuate and maintain systems that cause harm, is reinforcing your own oppression. Anyway, so the good old two, white supremacy and patriarchy, serves to maintain oppressive power structures by limiting how Black women are understood, right? So how I just explained the dynamics of white supremacy, because of our positioning in our caste system, some people won't understand that or will challenge that and push back against it, because there's an empathy there to understand the experiences of Black people, but particularly Black women, because of the combination of racism and sexism. All right, so let's shift the lens and expand on Collins' framework. I've been reflecting on how these images don't exist in isolation. They're often woven into broader stories, narratives that don't just define individuals, but entire communities, culture, and even political movements. And as a Black American woman who grew up as a Black Muslim, I am acutely aware of how these external pressures that we are inundated with are subjecting us to internal communal shifts that are directly impacting our experiences as Black folk with each other and among each other. And so this brings me to the concept of controlling narratives. Controlling narratives, as I define them, are stories or ideas that are deliberately crafted by media outlets, political leaders, or powerful institutions, or celebrities, influencers, whomever is marching to the same drum. And their purpose is to protect certain interests while distorting or distracting us from real issues at hand. These narratives shift focus, twist facts, and ultimately, they serve to reinforce harmful systems of power. Take, for example, the way media covers protest movements. Instead of focusing on the reasons people are out in the streets demanding justice, equality, or into police violence through divesting from military-grade police weaponry and instead reinvesting into community-based initiatives, controlling narratives shifts the focus. They paint peaceful protesters as rioters or looters, shifting the conversation away from the systemic issues that sparked the protests in the first place, right? Another controlling narrative that populated while I was coming of age is that hypersexuality equates to empowerment, correlates to empowerment always. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But what's key about controlling narratives is that they are intentional. They are constructed to create a reality that keeps power in the hands of those benefiting from exploitation, often distorting the truth to do so, i.e., self-sexual exploitation is empowering. All right, so let's think about this. How are we fed stories that shape our understanding of Black life, culture, or even politics? Or even shaping our understanding of Black family, Black love? When's the last time you've seen a brown-skinned Black woman paired with a brown-skinned Black man in advertisement in media? It's almost as if Black family units do not exist, even though majority of Black men marry Black women. Anyway, I'll get into that. But from music to film to nightly news to social media, those algorithms, y'all, who controls the storylines? And whose interests are being protected when we are encouraged to believe that Black culture is synonymous with violence, dysfunction, or failure? We can see how controlling images like those Collins describes feed directly into controlling narratives, right? They create these larger, overreaching stories about Blackness, about who we are as a people, who we value. And I've even noticed that controlling narratives also goes out of its way to invalidate the concerns and the inquiries of Black people. When Black people were like, yo, this rap stuff is cool, but making Black women synonymous with a dog or sexually immoral will have a deleterious effect. Oh, you just being a hater. Like, we let that fly. So the dangerous part is that these narratives, they go on to shape our policies, our laws, and ultimately how we treat one another. Essentially, that means that it has a corrosive effects on the environments that where Black folk gather, thus preventing us from being a safe space among each other. And that is what's so violent, right? We can't even escape, right? But the good news is that once we can identify these narratives, we can challenge them. We can flip the script, expose the distortions, and tell our own stories that are grounded in truth, complexity, and the full humanity of Black folk. We can put this in our film, in our music. We can reground ourselves in our values. There should never be any other messaging that has a subversive effects on the collective well-being, upward mobility, and liberation of Black folk. That's the type of commitment that I'm talking about. All right, community. As we continue these discussions on Loving Lens, I want to critically examine the stories that shape our understanding of the world. Because the more that we understand these controlling narratives, the better equipped we are to dismantle the systems that uphold them and replace them with narratives that affirm, uplift, and empower us. I have a pretty cool resource that I'll drop in the description. Thank you for watching, for your time and attention. Thank you for listening. And as always, let's continue to look at the world through a loving lens. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you care. And tell me in the comments what controlling narratives have you noticed in media or in your life? And how are you working to challenge them? Until next time, y'all, peace, keep your lens clear, and your love for Black folk strong. Shout out to the 92.